Hey, welcome to Plain Donuts. This is your co-host, Alicia. Thanks for listening. It's a podcast by millennials for millennials, or maybe really mature 12-year-olds. But hey, thanks for sticking around, and hope you enjoy episode 2. Alright, I'm going to choose our next topic out of the bowl, and it looks like the topic is Sky Mall.
Oh, okay. I don't have a whole lot to say about Sky Mall,
I just
to be honest.
know that Sky Mall, so it was Delta specific, right? Or was it in Sky Mall in every airplane?
See, I haven't flown a whole lot in my life,
okay,
so
yeah.
I've seen, Sky Mall has been a joke from comedians for me since the beginning of, my life.
You know Sky Mall in the context of, this is a hilarious thing, I'm not sure why it exists.
This is a joke that hack comedians can make because they go on airplanes a lot. That's what I've noticed about comedians is, because if you are a working comedian that goes to a lot of places, you're going to be on airplanes a lot, and so you make airplane jokes. And, I don't know why none of them go, this might be kind of hacky. No, but, I feel like a lot of people have done comedian
This has been hashed over a lot. Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld. What's the deal with airline food? That was my awful Jerry Seinfeld.
It was really good. My take is pure, though. Come on.
Yeah, I have a fresh view on Sky Mall.
And airplanes.
Airplanes and traveling.
The hubris of comedians.
But I know it was recently, I think they went bankrupt from what I remember seeing in the news. Sky Mall went bankrupt.
I think that sounds familiar to me.
And so that's kind of sad because ever since I was a kid, I flew on a lot of planes and I would just read Sky Mall because that was what you could do before every seat had an entertainment center.
So you're sad because you have I
had nostalgia. Yeah,
feelings.
The nostalgia. And the thing is they would always put the same exact things. Since the beginning of Sky Mall, it would be towards the end of Sky Mall. So however long it would run or whatever, issues or magazines or whatever, they had the same, foot massagers, the same compression socks, the same pool table cues, the same, and it was just this weird hodgepodge of
basically,
things.
Though, you're sad that a magazine that sells overpriced crap that you could buy pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. I'm sad.
You're sad it's gone.
Yeah, it's just a staple of flying. You see, I feel comforted by Sky Mall because I know what to expect in Sky Mall.
Here's the thing, though. On a plane, you can't get your phone out and be I gotta call up Sky Mall and place this order. So literally, if people were going to order something from Sky Mall, they had to write it down.
You had to specifically... Or you could take it, they would always say, oh, you can take this copy of Sky Mall with you. And you would have to take this off the, circle it or whatever.
Yeah.
These things. I want this Snuggie with this college logo on it. That seems great. It's $100. That sounds like a great deal.
Perfect.
It's perfect for my father-in-law. I don't know.
It'll be at my house when I get back.
Yeah.
I love this.
I love this idea. You take it home. And I don't remember if I think you had to, it was a catalog, so you had to order it, through the, this little insert thing. So it wasn't it was a mail-in or call-in.
Did you have to send it in? Oh, you could call it in.
I think, but there wasn't, from what I remember, and I could be wrong, an option where you could search skymall.com and buy this thing off of skymall.com. And that was probably very specific. They did that for a reason, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I just wonder, how many orders, let's say you work at Sky Mall.
Sky Mall fulfillment.
You work on the phone as a salesperson for Sky Mall. First of all, have you ever done phone sales?
Thankfully, no. Okay. I have never had to do that.
In most call centers, I've done 2 types of phone sales. One was I sold classified ads. I hate selling stuff. But the other was basically upselling for Discover Card. People on Discover Card would call in and I'd be like, hey, we got this cool product for you for credit monitoring or whatever. And I would try to upsell it. So, but What, like, okay, so if you're a salesperson for Sky Mall and somebody calls in with, they're ordering like a BYU Snuggie, and you're just like, oh, we also have these cool koozies. You know, like,
and they're so expensive. It's
only $35.
Yeah, it's like, and you know, they'll have like a retail price usually next to it, and it'll be crossed out, and they'll say Sky Mall price. Like, okay, you know, like this is
like
not like
$4.
well, yeah, it's like not that much cheaper. So, anyways, Sky Mall, I missed you a lot.
I don't have any.
Sorry to see you
over
go.
Sky Mall. I'm not too sorry about that. I feel like that's pretty sad that they existed for so long with their business plan.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm picking it here.
Oh.
Okay, so our next topic is Star Trek versus Star Wars versus Dancing with the Stars.
Okay. Well, I think we're both really big experts on Star Trek and Star Wars and Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, of course.
All of which, in fact, I know
It's a very confusing trilogy.
that there was a UFC fighter lady on Dancing with the Stars recently, and like not even a really very famous one. Paige Van Zandt, I think, is who it was. But anyway, well,
We can look it up.
Computers. Dancing? Oh, it was her, wasn't
Paige.
it? Yes. Totally.
I don't know.
Anyway, she was on Dancing with the Stars, and not on any single Star Trek or Star Wars movie that I know of. So, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't know why I chose this topic, honestly, because I just thought it would be funny for us to flounder about Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah. I know. I'm trying to think of any Star Wars or Star Trek.
Do you know what's really bad
actors.
about, for me, actually? Okay, so, two things. The thing that's nostalgic for me about Star Trek in particular isn't like one of the series. Like, my parents watched The Next Generation, I know, after I went to bed. I was like, oh, are you going to watch The Next Generation after I go to bed? So I knew that. But the thing that's nostalgic for me is actually the movies based on The Next Generation, which from what I understand are terrible. But I just remember, like, being introduced to these characters, and I, you know, like, oh, is that the guy from Reading Rainbow?
Yeah.
Yep. You know,
And that's actually how I started watching Star Trek, was because I was like, oh, Reading Rainbow guy is in Star Trek? This is great. And I watched, and I had no idea. I still don't really have very much grasp on Star Trek characters the world or whatever. But I watched it, and I loved watching it just because they would go to these planets, and Reading Rainbow guy was there, and Captain Dude was there. And I just had these crazy names for these characters because I didn't know, except for I knew Spock for some reason. That one always like stuck in my head.
I think everybody did because of the whole, like, everybody wanted to be able to do the like live long and prosper hand sign thing. So like because I remember as a kid in elementary school, everybody was like, "Can you do the thing with your hands?" And I was like, "I can do anything."
And you're like, "Yeah, my motor skills are up to the task of this." If you're a baby, clearly not. If you're still developing those like coordination skills.
This makes me think, like, this is probably a little bit uncouth to say, but I think I might have been kind of autistic because, and I may still be, of course.
On the spectrum. We'll just say Steve is on the spectrum.
Because Data was the character that I was like, that's the best character.
I relate to this guy.
The one with literally no emotions. And like, I thought it was awesome in that one movie when he got an emotion chip, and we were just, it was just like, oh man, Data's making jokes. What?
This is crazy. That's amazing.
The other thing is, okay, so for Star Wars, I had never seen the original trilogy when the new ones were going to come out, and just like the hype around the new Star Wars movies, like none of us knew how badly we were going to be abused watching those movies, and so like we were all like super excited, right? And I hung out with my friends. I was a high school student, and like we all just hung out one day and did a Star Wars marathon and watched all 3 so that we could prepare for the new ones coming out. And that was awesome. Like, that was a really fun time. I didn't particularly like the movies, but I really liked the Mel Brooks parody of Star Wars.
Spaceballs.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
Except when they went to the first time I saw it, I was probably 8 or 9. And when they went to, like, save that lady from prison and she was singing Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen, in this, like, really bassy voice, and one guy turns to the other and goes, "She's a bass." When I first heard that, I thought they said, "She's a bitch." And so, like,
whoa.
I was like, whoa, why are they going there? And, but that was pretty fun.
That's pretty funny.
Anyway, so, and then the new, like, the episodes came out and we were just like, what hath God wrought?
I was at the age where, kids thought Jar Jar Binks was cool.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and flame me all you want online. Whatever. You're like, oh, I can't believe you said that. But no, if you are in the ages between 23 and 25 and you watch the reboot, you probably thought Jar Jar Binks was hilarious. Don't even lie. Don't try and fool yourself. You did the voice and said Misa and Yusa and blah 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 with your friends out on the playground. You know you did that. Don't lie.
Twitter.com/@TheRajaga Riot. If your tweets are protected.
Oh, my tweets are protected now. I don't know why I did that.
Did you get? Did someone
try to?
you?
I don't know. I probably did it so my coworkers couldn't find me or something. I don't know. I'm kind of weird about my online presence. Not that I have a lot of crazy things to hide.
I know. Well, your tinfoil hat really shows when you talk about work.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe the things I know about people.
It is a little. It does make me a little uncomfortable. I have to say that.
I'm sorry to hear that. All right. Well, anyway, have you watched a lot of Dancing with the Stars?
I only watch it with my grandma, and my grandma, she's this very Indian lady, and she has Alzheimer's, and so when she watches Dancing with the Stars, it's like every episode, even if it's a rerun, is
new.
Brand new, and it's great because she has such enthusiasm for it, and so this is gonna sound awful. So there was an actress who she had only one leg, and that's the only thing I can describe her as.
She just had one leg.
She had one leg, and she had like a prosthetic leg also in Dancing with the Stars. And my grandma was like really focused in on that for some reason. I don't know if you've ever known anyone with Alzheimer's, but they tend to kind of, once they get in a place where they are remembering something short term, they focus in on something, and that was like her thing that she really wanted to focus on was this lady's leg. And like, okay, and I don't know the name of the actress. I could look it up, but who knows? We might cut this out because that might be very insensitive to those with fake
I don't
legs.
think so.
I don't know.
I think it just describes like a lot of us know older people who are like really unintentionally racist all the time, and so we're comfortable with the idea of an older person like just not being sensitive about that kind of stuff, and it makes it even finer, even more fine, because you're like, Alzheimer's,
old people,
which might be kind of ableist in itself. I don't know.
Sorry, I promise that we try not to let our ableism show. Not that you really can see us.
I'm the worst millennial.
We're awful. Sorry,
Okay.
Tumblr. I'm sure you're gonna dox us later. Maybe. Who knows?
Your Plain Donuts.
Your Plain Donuts.
Tumblr.com/YourPlainDonuts.
Yeah. Please don't send nudes.
Please don't.
Okay. The next topic is fights, which is something that Steve is super into. He's really into.
I'm going to be starting another thing with another friend talking only about fights because I don't care about any other sports at all. But anyway,
and I'm assuming it's UFC.
Well, no,
or boxing,
I was
or
trying
everything.
to be general. Well, my personal likes only extend to MMA. So UFC, I watch Bellator sometimes. Like if I see that one of my friends has posted a video from a local promotion or something, I'll watch that for fun. But not like I don't seek that out usually. But I wrote this down because I just thought it would be funny to talk about like fights we've seen in real life,
school
maybe?
fights.
Or even just fights that you've had with Otto since he's here?
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
Just kidding.
It's really awkward.
But, I do have a great story. So, I used to work at Weber State University as a parking enforcement officer.
Okay.
I was a parking cop. People hated me. People said they wanted to kill me, blah, blah, blah.
Really?
Yes. That's another
Because
whole
of
other story.
parking tickets?
Because of parking tickets. And these were really inexpensive parking tickets, like $5, $10.
Yeah. From what I know, university
kind of
parking tickets are
crazy
pretty cheap.
that people wanted to kill me over that. Usually it's when I booted their car, but anyways, I worked with this guy. He was another parking guy, and he was an MMA fighter.
Oh, no. Okay.
And he would invite me to go to his fights in Salt Lake. And, at the time, I was in college. I was poor / broke. I didn't have the money to go down to Salt Lake and see this dude's fights all the time. Even if he was like, oh, it's free. And I'm like, I don't really want to, I got to get up for my 7 a.m. class. I don't really know if I want to do that. But he would come back to work sometimes and his face would just be so messed up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wow.
I wonder about that, actually. Because, there's a Utah fighter. I forgot his name off the top of my head, but he's also a radio DJ or like a radio host on not a DJ, but on a show
like
where they
a
talk
morning
about
show or
sports
something.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And he wrote a novel, which is weird, and published it on Amazon. And in one of his post-fight interviews, after he won, they're like, "Oh, so tell us what you did." And he's like a real brawler, so maybe that's offensive to hear if you're listening, guy whose name I can't remember. But he basically was like, check out my novel on Amazon. It's actually really good. I looked it up and I was like, it seems pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It was a fantasy novel.
Fantasy. I was thinking like autobiography, something like that. But the fantasy novel, that is definitely not what I expected.
Yeah, Sean O'Connell is the guy's name. Anyway, so he tends to get really beat up in his fights. Even if he wins, he's just got a lot of damage on his face and stuff. And I'm just like, man, what's it like to go out into the street every day with just this really... The thing is when you watch a fight and you see somebody get their face messed up, you're like, oh, that's pretty bad, a lot of blood.
Yeah.
The next day, it's
so much worse.
They just look disfigured as a human, And so, what's it like to go to work the next day and be like, sorry, man, you got beat up,
And it's bad. And, I've been in one-ish fights. I say one-ish fights because I ran away. I wasn't trying to fight, but I fought for my life once someone caught me, and it was stupid. I found a $20 bill on the ground. I'm like, oh cool, I found this 20, which we're going to school in inner city Ogden. It's a terrible thing to shout.
Oh, yeah.
And so these two kids were like, it wasn't even their money. They just wanted the money.
Oh, wow.
And so I ran very far. I was pretty fast.
Did you keep the money? Did you have it?
No, they caught me and they beat me up and they took the money.
Really?
And that was it. So
why did this happen?
I gave up pretty easily though. It was maybe a couple push down.
If it was me and these two kids were like, oh, we want that money, I'd be like, whoop, just throw it in there and run,
when it comes to fight or flight, I'm definitely a flight. But I really also wanted the $20, so I thought I could, and I did outrun them, but I did the stupid thing where I ran all the way around the block and then they stayed within the same place. So I essentially exhausted myself running around and they just were like, well, why did you come out here? What did you do? So
they're like, well, opportunity, I guess.
When opportunity knocks, it'll kick you on the ground.
Beat up a girl for $20.
Yeah, but...
That's a saying in life.
Yeah, something.
When opportunity knocks, beat up a girl for $20.
But if you're gonna run away from someone, don't run the radius of the block of, it's just, don't do
that's
that.
a bad idea.
Hey, you're listening to Your Plain Donuts. This is your co-host, Alicia. If you like us, go ahead and subscribe to us on iTunes and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. You can follow us on Twitter at Your Plain Donuts. That's the possessive form of your, Y-O-U-R, Plain Donuts. And shoot us a tweet.
I got in one fight all through school. I don't know if I've told you this. It was ridiculous. So in 6th grade, which was not middle school in Utah, right? It's 1st through 6th, or kindergarten through 6th in the elementary school, and then 7th through 9th in the junior high. So anyway, so it doesn't really matter, except it was at an elementary school. So 6th grade, there was this dude in my class named Rowdy, and
what was his nickname, or that was his name?
That was his name, as far as I know.
Was it like Rowdy Remington or something cool?
Well,
like cool
I don't want to
alliteration?
dox him right here.
Oh, sorry, Rowdy.
But it was 2 R's, actually. It's Rowdy, it's the last name of R.
Wow,
That's
Rowdy
probably
R.
doxing anyway.
Sorry, Rowdy.
Hopefully nobody chases you down. Anyway, so one day it was lunchtime and we were coming out of the cafeteria. I don't know if you had this, but like at lunch, everybody would eat and then just go hang out wherever. Like, so we were coming out of the cafeteria. I was behind him and his pants were like sagged really low because this was the late 90s and that's when like Coolio, Gangsta's Paradise was really popular and like and sagging was the cool thing for gangsters to do. So his pants were sagged really low, and I just was being stupid and said, "Hey, Rowdy, you think your pants are low enough?" And like, we're friends, I thought, right? And so like, but apparently that really angered him a lot. And so like, and I didn't even. To me, it was just totally like, whatever, haha, it's a joke among friends. But anyway, so after school, like, I don't know, maybe I hung around in the class for a little bit longer, like before I left, because I just walked home anyway. I don't know, like, but I left the classroom and went out the doors, and he was like waiting for me out there. And he like threw his bag down.
You disrespected him.
You want to fight, Steve? And I was like, no, I really know. And so
I'm imagining like young Steve.
Yes. We can find a picture.
We can, and we might we'll probably put this on Tumblr, or we'll definitely have this up on
this picture
Twitter.
Is really
but
great.
Young Steve right now, he's got tattoos, nose piercing, kind of get a big beard.
The youngest pictures I have are from junior high, I think, on Facebook. So you'll have to imagine a little younger when I pull it up.
Oh, junior high.
Yeah.
What?
Or maybe might be young high school. Yeah. Here we go.
Oh, young Steve. Young Steve! Oh, that's great.
So anyway, that's me, definitely junior high, or like sophomore in high school because of all the pimples.
I'll try and describe this. He's got this really great...
this was definitely high school because that is an orange shirt that said Jesus in the Reese's logo.
Oh, man. If you were in any sort of Christian circle in junior high school, you had Jesus Saves. You had like the Coke logo with like Jesus mixed in there. There was like all these really bad. Really this awful, like not even puns.
It says "Sweet Savior, King of Kings" on it. What? Anyway, so that's the shirt I'm wearing. Okay. You can't see the logo, but it's an orange shirt. Yeah.
He's got this face, like this expression, where it looks like Rowdy is the one behind the camera who's like, "You want to fight, Steve?" And Steve is just, like, what?
No, please. Anyway.
He's got these great eyebrows. It's just, we'll have to put this up because this is great. Yeah.
Anyway, so he's like, "You want to fight?" Throws down his bag, and I was just like, no. So he was like, I guess, in wrestling or whatever, because him and I had sort of like, as far as I knew, just for fun, kind of like tumbled around in the classroom a little bit because he wanted to show that he was a wrestler or whatever. Like, we were like in the same class, and we thought, I always thought we were cool. But anyway, so he's like, "You want to fight?" And I was like, "No, not really." And like all my nerdy friends were around, and so he like comes at me, and I don't know exactly what happened. It's all a blur. I didn't do anything intentionally, but like my foot happened to land on top of his foot, and he like fell down to the ground and like smacked his head a little, and I was like, "Well, see ya," and just like decided to go home and not fight the rest of the fight, of course, because I had no idea what to do. And so like,
I mean, it sounds like you won though, right?
Yeah, and all my friends were like, "That was awesome," and I was like, "Totally." Like, I am a really good fighter for sure. Oh man, I got beat up a lot. Like not in fights, but just like my friends would always beat me up and stuff. None of it was. I guess outside of school, I did get in a couple of fights with this neighborhood kid named Kevin. Like him.
Kevin is just. If your name is Kevin, I'm sorry, you're just the worst.
I don't know.
That is my personal feelings
Him
about
and
people
I
named
just
Kevin.
like. We thought we were like nemesis or something. Like we always fought. It was really weird. And he had like a scar that I would always try to. Like, it was on his chest, and I would always try to, like, hit it and make him hurt.
Hey, remember that heart operation that you got? Well, I'm going to try and undo all that work that surgeon did.
Really bad, right? Really bad. But anyway, that's, like, my whole fighting experience.
No, yeah, I don't really have... I watched a lot of fights, and I really... This sounds bad, but I really liked seeing fights in school, just because it's like something
exciting
to watch, and it's really exciting, and the teachers are there and no one's in control of anything. And my school made this policy where if you were in the fight, it was like a no zero tolerance sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You were expelled or suspended or whatever.
Probably suspended, I guess.
But if you watched a fight, as in like a passive participant, you would also receive the same punishment, which was confusing because let's say you happen to just walk by and a fight broke out and someone bumped into you. You're like, hey, what's going on? Well, looks like you're going to have the same punishment because you happen to watch some of the fight, and that, in the sense, is, make egging these people on to keep fighting. But I think when someone wants to fight, they don't care who's around or what's going on. They want to fight someone, unless it's one of those dumb fights where they're like, I'm gonna get you, and the people just kind of walk. There's lots of walking, like those types of fights where they'll just insult each other and kind of walk around, and it's really boring, and you're just like, I don't really want to watch this. And, but
I don't know. There was one fight in junior high that I saw. I can't remember that. There were two guys, and both of them were actually like tall, lanky guys. And one of them was like a basketball player and was in band with me and like was just kind of like an upstanding student for the most part. And the other guy was like kind of known to be a little bit like rebellious and kind of like one of the quote unquote bad kids, right? And like this guy from the basketball team like pulled his shirt over his head and was just like punching him. And I was like, what? And this is the only fight I ever saw. I heard about others, but I was never able to see them. But I was like, man, that guy's surprisingly good at this.
Yeah, that's a good technique though. If you want to fight someone, you say, take your shirt off and we'll fight. And they'll start taking their shirt off and you just start
punching.
Going to town. I mean, they might... That probably won't work in real life, but I like to think that that's like a technique.
Good. Take your shirt off. Alicia, that would never work for you if you're fighting other girls.
Yeah, they're just like, why are you taking off your clothes? What's going on?
I mean, if you're trying to like attract people to the fight, I'm sure like the crowd will grow.
Like, this is going to be great. We might see a wardrobe malfunction here.
Woo!
But usually when girls fight, there's lots of like grabbing and
hair pulling.
And lots of, usually there is a wardrobe malfunction without having to take your shirt off for girl fights. But girl fights are really intense, especially in middle school where there's just hormones. Just you can smell it in the hallway. You can just smell the pheromones from these tweens.
That's really
disgusting.
That seems really
awful.
Gross. You know what? Like
I never really
not go to where I was thinking just now because. Like, I don't know, like, I think junior high kids probably don't smell very good anyway.
Yeah, it's just, and it's probably, and I never really understood it because I was like, why would you not want to take a shower? Why would you want to cover yourself in 5 cans of Axe body spray? I don't get that. But yeah, it was just, these kids would, they would just throw off their backpacks and this was in the time where clip-in extensions, and they're still kind of popular, but it's not, now it's more of like the woven extensions in your hair, but the clip-ins, you're in middle school, you can't afford like $120 extensions. You got like the Claire's $5 ones.
Weave.
Yeah, exactly. And it's every girl had this. Don't lie. It's we all know you had this. Your hair is not that full, Stephanie. But
I'm ready.
They would just rip out, and you could see the extensions just like sections of it just flying
I
everywhere.
just imagine like the dust cloud in cartoons.
Yeah.
Like all I'm imagining is just a dust cloud with like brushes and hair extensions flying.
It kind of is like that
like
because
tampons just like
one girl had a purse. And she hit this other girl with the purse, and the purse just busted because it's middle school and we don't have great purses. And just tampons, literally, it was like rain. Like, that's why she had like 50 tampons in her purse. And if she needed them, I'm really sorry that was your experience with periods. But just tampons raining down.
Did people like collect them? What happened?
No one. All the guys were just like, boys were like, oh, gross. Like it was like the worst thing that could be falling from the sky was tampons.
The only reason.
And like they're all backing away like it's, devil's rain. And they don't want to deal with it.
None of them are used.
No, it's just these packages. And
I just keep my used ones here too.
And they're like, these girls are just locked in, like when two Rams just, and Mount Ogden Middle School, go Rams.
This was in Ogden. Okay.
They would lock and just be connected and just like grabbing and hair and tampons and just, it's like a movie.
Wow.
It's like fights in movies are more realistic than you would think that they
not
would
the
be.
choreographed ones.
Not those. Not like I'm not Jackie Chan,
Yeah,
but if I did see that, that would be amazing.
Man,
and I
can you
would
imagine,
videotape that for sure.
Oh man, I don't go hunting for like real fights very often on the internet. Sometimes I'll like fall in a YouTube hole and be like, I found some real fights, I guess. Somebody on Facebook posted this clip of these two kids fighting, and like I don't. This is because MMA is popular, and like now some kids are like, "That's a cool sport. I want to try that." Right? And so these kids start fighting, and the one kid is like bullying the other, like, "Come on, man, you want to fight? Whatever," pushing him and stuff. The kid just like kind of shrugs, takes off his backpack, and like squares up like he knows what he's doing. And I was like, "Oh crap!" And so this kid like head kicks the other kid, and then he flying armbarred him, like jumps into an armbar. And I'm just like, what? And then, so he's got this kid in this armbar position on the ground, and the kid's like screaming at this girl next to him, like, get him off me, he's gonna break my arm. And I'm just like, that guy is like 12. Yeah. I was like, man, bullies today have it rough because you never know. Like,
you never know who you can pick on anymore, right? You don't know who's watching MMA fights and practicing in their basement,
figuring out how to flying armbar people.
I have watched. Okay, and some people might have seen this recently, but sometimes there are those fights that are just really like stupid. Like, why are you guys fighting? And there's one of these two girls. It's like in Minnesota, some very rural area. Maybe, I don't know, there's a suburb and they're walking and they'll like, kind of come together and fight, hair pull, punch, go apart, chase each other around. And one girl gets a shovel.
I think I've seen this video somehow.
And she throws, the other girl is not even paying attention. She's like, turned her face away. And this girl just, like, I don't know why.
Like a full-on, shovel, like for digging holes?
Not
like a trowel.
Not like a snow shovel, not like a trowel, but like a shovel that you're going to use for gardening. And she throws it at this girl. And the sound it makes when it hits this other girl's head is just... you'll have.
Can you try to emulate it?
It's just like a prank. When you hit the sound of a human head hit something, and you're like, "That's bad. Like that's not supposed to happen to human heads." That's what happened. You're like, "I can't believe I'm watching this. Did I just see someone die?" And she goes down, obviously, and I think that's what it just cuts away. You don't really know what's happening after that.
My favorite part was the sound, though.
It just.
Like it didn't ring out or anything.
No, it's like a very solid. It's like hitting.
Yeah, with a little bit of metal.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So hit this girl's head, and it was.
That's
great.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Man, that's really good.
Yeah. But anyways,
most of the time, though, those fights that you see like on YouTube and stuff are just so dumb. And really, like, that kid that armbarred the other kid, like, he didn't really have very good breaking technique anyway, because obviously if he did, the other kid's arm would have been broken. That's the thing that, like, real jiu-jitsu players, this is dumb, because I also I guess I do like other sports. The other sport is jiu-jitsu, and I actually only like watching submission focused jiu-jitsu because I don't care about like position-based tournaments and stuff. I think all the points are confusing and it doesn't matter. But submission-based stuff, the guys who win right now, like there's a tournament called the EBI, the Eddie Bravo Invitational, and basically like they just invite a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys to come and have a tournament. But the guys who are winning right now are actually really leg lock focused. And I read an interview with one of them talking about like breaking technique, how that being really important in leg locks because like that's how you get somebody to tap basically is to get them on the edge of breaking. Yeah. And the thing is if they don't tap, their leg's broken or their knee is blown out or whatever. And like, so like that's a real thing. If you want to be like a real submission specialist, you have to focus on breaking someone's bones.
Can you imagine like what's your job? Like if you had to describe your job, I go and I fight this man and I try to break him. Yeah. Like the human body, I try to destroy it.
I want to see him fall asleep in one of two ways. Either with one of my limbs around his neck and blood being stopped from getting to his brain, or by him being knocked out from some kind of concussive blow coming from me. Yeah. Or I try
to make him submit by almost breaking one of his limbs.
Or, if he's got too much pride, literally breaking a limb.
Breaking it, yeah. What was the name of, he was this, like, older Japanese fighter. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. And I think he was a really stubborn guy. Mm-hmm. He actually got his arm broken or his leg broken, but he continued to try and fight this other person. It's like, no!
That happens,
Stop! You're... Don't do it anymore.
Don't continue.
Yeah, like this is your body's way of saying I'm done. Like,
there's this guy named Uriah Hall who like apparently early in a fight like broke his toe or something and like compound fractured it, so like you could see the bone. You couldn't see it while they were fighting, but like you could see he had like his toe bleeding or whatever. Anyway, he ended up winning, and they like put the camera on his toe, and it's like a bone just sticking out, and you're like, well,
yeah, I mean,
he's like, that's what you gotta do. You gotta, sometimes you break your toe. You're just like, that's not a regular job.
Yeah, that's, oh man.
Can you file for workman's comp? I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know that, they're coming out with all these things about NFL players and concussions and things like that, but I haven't heard anything about MMA, UFC, anything like that.
The thing about that is, like, boxing is pretty notorious for concussions because it's like very head focused.
Yeah. You want to punch this person in the head.
But actually, like, MMA is less so. You actually see fewer injuries in MMA than you would in like football or whatever.
Interesting.
Because like, part of it is defending yourself. In football, like, as in my limited understanding, you're basically just running into each other, and like there's no defense, right? So you get a concussion or you get like some kind of weird sprain or whatever, and that's just happens. But in MMA, you don't see that as much. People get training injuries a lot, but probably just as much as any sport. But actually, it's like, interestingly, fewer injuries because of the fact that you're also defending yourself. So like if you take a punch to the head or whatever, you would block most of them. And the thing that differentiates it from boxing is that the techniques in MMA are more full body focused, so that there's striking and also there's wrestling and jiu-jitsu, so like there's less focus on one area of your body, so it's not as many concussions. It's really weird. I don't know if any of that's true.
Yeah, I'd have to look at.
I've heard it said once, but I don't know how true it is. I didn't look it up.
Who knows? We might have another Will Smith movie 20 years down the line where he plays Muhammad Ali. Who knows? We'll never know.
Or he plays a doctor who's like, this happened because of his boxing.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just the same thing, but over again. And it's funny because I actually got a concussion last year because I was in a snowmobiling accident. And I ran into a mountain.
I remember hearing
about
this.
And I was always joking, like, and the movie Concussion came out with Will Smith. So every time, and I annoy my friends with this, I would say Concussion, a movie with Will Smith starring Alicia Rodriguez, because I got a concussion and I thought that was really funny.
You could have just walked around saying, "Tell the truth."
Yeah. Tell the truth. And then, like, you need to go to sleep. You need to go home now and rest because you're...
I got a concussion when I was a kid. It's the worst head injury I've ever had. And it happened because we all had this plan that my brother, my sister, and me were going to sled down this hill that was at my uncle's house. And we knew that there was a tree at the bottom, but we were like trying to angle so that we missed the tree. But my brother decided to deviate from the plan. And like, I think he said this before we started, but he's like, "I'm just going to jump off." And so...
Is he the only one that had that plan?
Yeah. So we're sliding down pretty fast, and he jumps off, and I go right into the tree. Like, I was in the front of the sled, and I got this big black eye from it. And like I went in crying to the house, and my mom was like I guess back then the conventional wisdom was among nurses and doctors and stuff, do not sleep if you have a concussion because you could die.
Yeah.
So I was like, "I just want to go to sleep." And she's like, don't do it. Yeah. Don't fall asleep. Yeah. I was like, "I'm just tired." Yeah. My eyes swollen shut. And this was right after this was the weekend that we were moving. And it was Thanksgiving weekend, and I was starting school after the Thanksgiving holiday. So I started the first day of 3rd grade in a new school after the Thanksgiving holiday with a giant black eye. Like, disgusting black eye.
Like, interesting Thanksgiving, huh, Steve? Well, any family...
I mean, it's good prophecy for the rest of my school career, I guess, because I was not very popular.
Oh, man.
Careers. School's a career. Nobody's making any money there, even the teachers.
Better pay for teachers. Hashtag
Agreed.
get teachers the right pay.
Hashtag pay teachers more.
I mean, that's really all there is to it.
Should we move on to another topic? I think our recording right now...
It's about an hour, right?
Yeah, we're a little over an hour, I think. We are at 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
We could go to another topic, or we could call it quits. I don't know if that was an exciting ending or not. Otto's...
We can always use the magic of editing to end however we want, right?
Yay!
And we can fade in Justin Timberlake.
Oh, I will. No, that's the plan, is like to maybe at some point I'll find like a little section where we have like a break and then just insert Cry Me a River and then do it at the end as well.
That's great.
It's a good plan. Well, anyway, I guess this was Plain Donuts number 1. Yeah. We only went through a couple topics.
Yeah, we have so many more. I'm gonna take out all the ones that we talked about and save some for later.
We have to tweet about them. Oh, I accidentally tried to ask Siri something on this watch, and it did not translate well.
Oh,
it was like Cerveza.
Cerveza. That can be a topic for next time.
Yay.
Cerveza.
Well, cool. While she does that, thanks everybody for listening to the Plain Donuts podcast. I'm Steve.
And I'm Alicia. Hey, thanks for listening. And come back soon.
Be sure to look us up on Kickstarter.
Yeah. And Twitter, Facebook. Just kidding, we don't have Facebook. Don't look us up.
We don't have Facebook yet. Twitter.com/@yourplaindonuts.